Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're diving into the world of Canadian coins, focusing on the 1981 1-cent coin. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just a casual collector, this little coin has a lot more to offer than just its size. So, stick around as we explore its value, history, and what makes it so interesting. Before we talk about the 1981 1-cent coin specifically, let's take a quick trip back in time. Canada introduced the 1-cent coin in 1858, and over the years, the design has changed multiple times. The iconic maple leaf design you see on the 1981 coin was first introduced in 1937, becoming a hallmark of Canadian currency. In 1981, the Royal Canadian Mint produced millions of these 1-cent coins, and like all coins from this era, they represent a snapshot of the economic and cultural times of Canada. Let's take a closer look at the specific features of the 1981 coin. As you can see, the 1981 1-cent coin features the well-known design of a maple leaf. The maple leaf has long been a symbol of Canada, representing unity and national pride. On the reverse side of the coin, you'll see the inscription, Canada, and the year, 1981. On the obverse side, you'll find the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, facing right, surrounded by the inscription Elizabeth II and DG Regina, which stands for Dei Gratia Regina, meaning, by the grace of God, Queen. This design stayed the same until the coin's eventual discontinuation in 2012. So, the 1981 version is just one in a long line of these beloved coins. Now, let's talk about the main reason most of you are here today, the value of the 1981 1-cent coin. Since the coin was minted in large quantities, it doesn't hold a high market value, especially in circulated condition. If you've got a 1981 1-cent coin in circulation condition, it typically won't fetch more than face value, which is 1 cent. However, coins in better-than-average condition can be worth a little more, especially if they're well-preserved and show little to no wear. In uncirculated condition, this coin could be worth somewhere between 5 to 10 cents, though it's still not considered highly valuable by most collectors. But if you have one in mint condition, or even a proof version of the coin, then you might see a slight increase in its value. Keep in mind that the value fluctuates based on demand and the overall health of the coin market. How do you determine if your 1981 1-cent coin is worth more than just 1 cent? Well, there are a few factors you need to look at. First, examine the coin's condition. Coins are graded based on their level of wear, with grades like good, fine, and uncirculated being the most common classifications. If your coin still has sharp details, especially in the maple leaf design, it may fall into a higher grade. Secondly, check for any special characteristics like die varieties or errors. For instance, some collectors will pay extra for a coin with a unique minting error, such as an off-center strike or a double die. While these aren't common on the 1981 1-cent coin, it's still worth taking a look. By 2012, Canada officially stopped producing the 1-cent coin, largely due to rising production costs and the shift towards a cashless economy. The last Canadian 1-cent coins were minted in 2012, and the coins are no longer in circulation as legal tender. So, while the 1981 1-cent coin was once a part of everyday life in Canada, it now holds more of a historical significance. Even though you can no longer use these coins in daily transactions, they still hold value in the world of collectors, and their historical importance continues to make them a fascinating part of Canadian numismatics. Oh, there you have it, folks. The 1981 Canada 1-cent coin. While it might not be worth much in terms of raw cash, it still carries a lot of sentimental and historical value. If you've got one in your collection, it's definitely worth keeping. The history of the Canadian 1-cent coin is an interesting journey, spanning over a century, and it reflects Canada's evolving economy and identity. Let's take a look at the key moments in the life of this coin. The first 1-cent coin in Canada was introduced in 1858, just a year after Canada became a self-governing colony within the British Empire. At that time, Canada was still using British-style coins, but the country began minting its own currency, including the 1-cent coin, to facilitate trade within its growing economy. The very first Canadian 1-cent coins were made of bronze and featured a design that was quite different from what we see today. The original design depicted a large 1, surrounded by a wreath of maple leaves, symbolizing the agricultural prosperity of Canada. In 1937, the Royal Canadian Mint introduced a new design for the 1-cent coin, which became iconic and lasted through many of the coin's iterations. This design featured a stylized image of a single maple leaf, which has since become one of Canada's most recognizable symbols. The maple leaf was a natural choice, as it reflected the Canadian national identity and the country's connection to nature. From the 1930s to the late 20th century, The 1-cent coin continued to evolve in design and material. In the 1960s, the mint began using a copper-plated steel composition for the coin, a change from the earlier bronze versions. These changes were made in response to the increasing cost of minting the coins and the growing concerns over the rising price of copper. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, the 1-cent coin remained a common part of daily transactions in Canada. The familiar maple leaf design continued to appear on the reverse side, while the obverse featured a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, who had been on the Canadian currency since the 1950s. The 1981 Canada 1-cent coin is part of a series produced with a traditional maple leaf design. Minted in large quantities, the 1981 1-cent coin became one of the most circulated coins in Canadian history. The coin continued to use the copper-plated steel composition, which was both inexpensive to produce and durable for regular use. During this period, the 1-cent coin was essential for everyday purchases, despite inflation gradually reducing its purchasing power. It was commonly used in vending machines, parking meters, and as small change for items like candies or postage stamps. In 2012, Canada made the controversial decision to discontinue the 1-cent coin, citing the rising costs of production. It cost more to produce a 1-cent coin than it was worth, and as inflation increased, the practical use of the coin diminished. The government officially announced that it would stop minting new 1-cent coins, though they would remain in circulation and could still be used for transactions. The discontinuation of the 1-cent coin was part of a broader trend of eliminating low-value coins in several countries around the world. However, Canadian citizens were still able to use their 1-cent coins until they gradually disappeared from circulation. Although the 1-cent coin is no longer in use, it holds a special place in the history of Canadian currency. It was a piece of Canada's daily life for over 150 years. Today, collectors still value the 1-cent coin for its historical significance, especially rare or well-preserved versions from different years, such as the 1981 coin. The last 1-cent coins were minted in 2012, but they continue to serve as a reminder of Canada's heritage and its connection to the past. The maple leaf design, now iconic, remains an enduring symbol of Canadian national pride and unity. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Canadian coinage, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you won't miss any of our future coin-related content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.